at the heart of the World Series by Renault with Elf.
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza in Italy. It's the first round of the 10th season of the World Series by Renault, Formula Renault 3.5 Championship, the last stepping stone to Formula One. I'm Jake Sanson. Beside me is Tom Gaymore. Tom, this is exciting. This season, perhaps even more so than last year.
It's been a long winter, hasn't it? And every single one of these drivers will be waiting for the green light, as I am, obviously with slightly less pressure on my shoulders. One man with all the pressure on his shoulders is Carlos Sainz Jr. His first ever World Series by Renault pole, and what a time to do it.
And it's a very good setup he's got as well. On the championship winning car from last year, the Dames, obviously the pressure is going to be on them to deliver this year as they did last, Tom.
Yeah, those of you that watch World Series by Renault live on Eurosport, you'll know that I love my stats. And this is the 6th World Series by Renault pole in a row for Dames. We're going to go for a quick commercial break. Be sure to join us in a mo.
Series by Renault with Elf.
Getting ready to go then for the warm-up lap of the first round of the Formula Renault 3.5 series, and it seems, Tom, drama already here on the grid because the Dames mechanics are tentative to the back of Carlos Sainz's car. That could be interesting.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz looks as though he hasn't got away there because the yellow flag is waving, and that can only be for the pole man if he doesn't get away. Are they warning the rest of the field? Carlos Sainz's car was being worked on. He's got his arms in the air. Our pole man is not going to get away on the formation lap.
Absolutely terrible luck for Carlos Sainz Jr. And that means that the man on pole position, the man who's been the fastest driver all weekend here at Monza, is not going to be starting from the front of the grid. And looks like someone else hasn't got away. One of the Lotuses as well. I think that's got to be Stockinger, I think, who's made an attempt to get forward, and now he's not gone anywhere. That's the 16th. No, that's Vaxivier. So Carlos Sainz Jr., the man who's dominated the weekend so far, he's going to have to start from the back.
Yes, I can't quite believe what I'm seeing. I always joked last year with Carlos Sainz Jr. that if he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. And first race of 2014, and well, it's not over yet. He's still going to start if they can get that car fixed. They had the engine cover off. The mechanics were working frantically. He was calm and collected in the car because it's very emotive for a driver. You put in all that stress and effort, and then it's all slipping away from you. I hope they can get him going because, you know, he really does deserve to be in this race. He's been the pace all weekend, hasn't he? Every practice session and qualifying.
Well, let's talk you through the grid. Minus Carlos Sainz Jr., Will Buller is going to be alone on the front row with Luca Giotto and Will Stevens beside him. Then on row 3 we have Roberto Merri and Nikolai Martsenko in 6th on the grid. 7th and 8th are Pierre Gasly, last year's Eurocup Renault 2 leader champion, alongside Yasemin Jafar. Then we have Vaxivier, although he's now in the pits, of course, alongside Mavlanov in 10th place, an empty row 5 nearly. Sorensen and Lane on row 6. Then we'll have in 13th and 14th Marlon Stockinger and Zol Amberg in the AV Formula car. You just saw him leave the shot. Fantin and Oliver Rowland, the British Charger in the Fortec car, down in 16th. Nato, there he is in the number 2 in the Dames, and Sorokin, the Sauber F1 tester, in 18th. Webb and Van Buren in 19th and 20th, and Bietskiewicz in 21st on the grid. What a dramatic way to get this championship started before we've even got going, Tom.
Yeah, I'm hearing news that the engine was fired up. It couldn't get any gears. Is that a problem with the pneumatically powered clutch and gearbox on this World Series by Renault? No hydraulics, interestingly enough. The whole car, clutch, gearbox, DRS, is all powered by a pneumatically operated system. And that means that you have to have a certain amount of air pressure within the clutch to select a gear, and maybe that is the problem for Carlos Sainz Jr. Right, this is all action now, down to the Rettifilio. Lots of rookies in this field.
Still more work going on in the back of that car. I don't think he's going to make the start of the race even. This could be very tough for him. The first round of the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship from Autodromo Nazionale di Monza sees the man who's dominated the weekend so far, the fastest man all weekend, Carlos Sainz Jr. in the Dams car from pole position, start from the pit lane if he can get going. Will Buller alongside him is on the front row by himself with Giotto and Stevens behind. Lights are on and out they go. Oh, and a terrible start by Giotto and from Stevens. What is going on for Buller? What is going on? Stevens has got a cracker, and it looks to me as though the man in front is the 11. That is the striker of Will Stevens. He's got a brilliant start. How is this? Oh, it's a little bit tight into the first corner. Gasly's gone too wide.
It was Marchenko making it 3 wide. Stevens with an absolutely great start and run up to the Retta Filio.
And through the rest of the field go. Gasly is there in second position. It looks like Roberto Merhi came up into third position. Really good start from him in the Zeta course car. And now he's going to try and make the move for second place past Gasly. He's nailed it.
Gasly, he's going to have to recede that. He can't keep that position. He went straight on at the Retta Filio. Didn't want to recede or give up too much ground down to the Roggia. And I'm sorry, but I don't think he's going to stay in that position. But certainly Merhi, definitely a man on the move from 5th on the grid. But Will Stevens showing all his experience. And the rookies, Giotto and Will Buller, didn't get away well, did they?
No, they got tons of wheel spin off the line, and it's just gift-wrapped the lead of this race to Will Stevens. Up to 4th position there comes Nikolai Marchenko. He was in 6th on the grid, of course, so it looked like he got a bit of a lackluster start as well. But William Buller, loads of wheel spin in the Arden, and that puts him down to 5th position at the moment. In fact, he's dropping further back. He's got a problem as well.
Well, no, he might not. He just might have had a poor exit onto that straight through the Ascari down to the Parabolica. Really important to get on the throttle and get out of this corner quickly. He was on the wrong line there, William Buller. We're watching Jafar. He's now battling big contact.
Oh dear, oh my goodness. That is a big shot, and that is going to be a safety car at the very minimum. Oh. Into the pit wall. That is a big one. Who is that that's gone over? Didn't quite see. We're going to have to take stock of the situation now and have a look, because that is definitely going to be a safety car, bare minimum. Potentially even a race stoppage, because that was very high speed and that was on the start-finish straight.
Was it Mavlanov?
It might have been Mavlanov. Yes, I think you might be right. Big shunt. Yellow flags. Safety car on track, no surprises there at all, and it was Jafar he hit actually, so Jafar got taken out in that one. So the only ISR in the field is out, and now all our thoughts turn to the new boy in the pack, the Russian Roman Mavlanov, we think it is, in the Zeta course, the number 21, barrel rolling down the start-finish straight, and safety car, that is the only choice really, Tom.
Oh, it has to be safety car, and just thoughts with the driver. We'll try and confirm who it is. Obviously, first round of the year, different colour schemes on these cars. Very difficult to pick out with the shot that we had, but it was definitely Jafar, and it could be Mavlanov, and incredibly frightening accident.
No, actually, there is Mavlanov in the 21, so he's on track okay. So, well, we're trying to figure out who it was then. There is Jafar, having got out of the car, so he's perfectly okay. But who is it he tangled with? We're not actually getting any confirmation as to who it is he's tangled with. It could be Matthias Lane. Yeah, that's a good point. We haven't heard much of Lane in this start. Jafar looks bitterly disappointed.
Or Sorensen. I think it could be Sorensen.
Well, Marco Sorensen is down at the back of the field, certainly on the timing screen, so could well be. Safety car on track, of course. Yasmin Jafar, the Malaysian. And who is that guy? It's a single-digit number. It is Sorensen. Unfortunately, he's out of the car, so he is okay. Goodness me, let's look at it.
Just racing on the inside, Sorensen on the left-hand side. Let's see what happens now.
Oh, Sorensen turns in.
Sorensen thinks he's trying to pick up the toe from the car in front. He hasn't quite realised that Jafar is still there, and he's just drifted across. I have to say, with a driver still uncertain of his bearings, if you see here, he's tried to pick up the toe in front. He hasn't looked in his mirrors. He hasn't seen Jafar, but I think you know, Marco Sorensen's come across on Jafar. Jafar will have been very, very shocked to have seen that car coming across on him. Couldn't get out of the way, and we don't blame him for that. Certainly, we wait to see how well Sorensen is. He is out the car before we apportion blame, but definitely I think Sorensen just starting to move across on Jasmine Jafar, and that is an absolutely massive accident. Debris flying out onto the start and finish straight. Norman Nato hitting a large bit of carbon fiber. That's the nose box. That's still heavy on these cars. So Norman Nato, very, very lucky escape in the middle of the grid there with the yellow nose heading down into the Rettifidio. But Marco Sorensen took a huge whack into the green pit wall there, and it's, I tell you what, a testimony to these cars to see him out of the car. There he is, sat, taking his helmet off, and the doctors, quite rightfully so here at Monza, going through all the necessary safety checks, because the adrenaline's pumping still with the driver. You think you're okay, you've taken a big hit, but testimony to the strength of these cars that he's actually out talking and you know, working with the doctors. He'll go to the medical center now as we see Jafar's car being cleared off the start and finish straight. That was as big as they come.
That was a massive shunt, and well, talk about drama here in Formula Renault 3.5. We've had Sainz not make the start, and now this big shunt. We're behind safety car. We'll go for a quick break, and we'll come back in a few moments' time. Stay with us, and we'll bring you the rest of the race action.
Elf.
Welcome back to Monza. We're behind the safety car just as Carlos Sainz Jr. leaves the pits to join the action 2 or 3 laps down. What drama we've had here at Monza. The poleman, Sainz Jr., failing to make the start of the race. Big wheel spin from Will Buller. Big wheel spin from Luca Giotto, and it put Will Stevens into the lead, and he currently leads the way from Roberto Merri, Pierre Gasly, Luca Giotto, Nikolai Martsenko, Will Buller and Oliver Rowland up into about 7th place off the start in the Fortec. And the reason we're behind the safety car, Tom, the mother of all accidents.
Yeah, Sorensen clipping Jafar's car on the start and finish straight, rolling into the pit wall. Shades of Marco Bononomi's crash at Barcelona in 2008 in World Series by Renault. I'm so pleased to see Sorensen out of the car. Carlos Sainz Jr. now down at the Della Roggia, trying to catch the rest of the field who are around at the Variante Ascari. This is just a test session for Sainz Jr. now. He needs to make sure the car is functioning for tomorrow's qualifying and tomorrow's race. So that is why he's out, making sure that it's going.
Lights out on the safety car, so we're going to get going again. Stevens leading from Roberto Merri in the Zeta course. Then we have the Arden Motorsport car of Pierre Gasly in the very similar Red Bull colours to Carlos Sainz Jr., both of them Red Bull Academy drivers. Keep an eye out for Buller and Rowland in the 7th and 8th place cars. There's Buller, there's Rowland in the Racing Steps Foundation colours. He's made a shocking start through the field. He's come from about 16th on the grid, I think he was, up to 8th position. So away we go. Merri is already defending from Gasly, and here around the outside comes Nikolai Martsenko trying to outbrake him. It looks like, oh, that's going to be close into the first corner.
Yeah, it was Martsenko looking very racy into the Rettifidio. We're looking at car 19, which is further down the field. That's Betsy Visser, the only female to race, well, the first female to race since 2008. We saw Pippa Mann in World Series by Renault. So Betsy Visser, great to see her going well. But Stevens with a quality restart. He's looking polished and professional, isn't he? 29 minutes left on the clock, but he looks very, very good at this stage in the race. Roberto Merri, a rookie but incredibly experienced 2011 F3 Euro Series champion, a Mercedes Junior, a DTM driver. He can't be a rookie, can he?
Well, it's certainly, you certainly wouldn't have thought he was. Oh no, Carlos Sainz Jr., they've given it a run, and he's brought it back into the pits. So this is just going from bad to worse for Carlos Sainz. He
might have achieved what he wanted to. He might have some gears, and he might be reasonably pleased that the system is functioning. We see Gasly now defending from Martsenko. He's back out again. So they're obviously working on that car, trying to make sure that it is okay. This will be a test session for Dams and Carlos Sainz Jr. Stevens leading into the Parabolica.
Brilliant movement through the field on this first restarted lap, and it looks like some drivers are getting the best of it. It looks like Nato has dropped out then, it looks to me, and it looks like Visser is falling backwards down the field as well, unfortunately. But Nato, what a bad day for Dams. Couldn't get any worse, could it?
Couldn't get any better in 2013. What a difference a year makes. The performance is there, but some sort of bad luck in the French camp.
I think one of the mechanics forgot to bring the rabbit's foot, didn't they? Up the inside, no, that was never going to happen in a month of Sundays, but a nice try by Pietro Fantin, and to be honest, he does need to work his way through the field. Fantin, of course, was a very hard charger in 2013, had a few good results, seemed to spend far too much time getting involved in other people's accidents, but he really was one of the drivers we should have been keeping an eye out for in 2014, and it started badly, unfortunately, but at least it hasn't started as badly as Marco Sorensen's.
No, well, he'll be counting his lucky stars, whichever way you look at it. Incredibly unlucky incident, albeit his fault, we think. Certainly very, very lucky to get away with what is one of the most scariest accidents I've seen of recent years, it has to be said. So testimony, as I've said already, to the World Series by Renault cars and the strength of the chassis.
Well, on paper, you would have thought that Will Stevens was the favourite for this championship going in. He was 4th in the table last year, and the top 3 from 2013 have all moved on to other climbs. Kevin Magnussen is now in Formula 1 with McLaren, of course. Stoffel van Dorn is with Art in GP2. And then Antonio Felix da Costa has, of course, moved over to Mercedes. But it's not...
BMW.
Sorry, he has moved over to BMW in DTM, as here comes Fantin up the inside, making the move on Vassivier in the Lotus F1, and he manages to get him straight back past again because, unfortunately, Fantin completely misjudges the braking point, and it looks like he's going to get swamped too on the straight by Oliver Webb. Yeah,
Oliver Webb complaining of a lack of power in that Pons car. He's in for this weekend, obviously signed in the factory Alpine LMP2 squad for the endurance campaigns that he'll be undertaking this year, and it was that Renault connection that got him this drive, but certainly Pietro Fantin making a meal of things.
Owner of ISR Racing, Igor, what happened out there just now?
I don't know much. I know as you, because we just see the car flying over our pit perch, and it was car of Sorensen.
Well, I think we had Igor Salacarda there just telling us about the ISR driver Yasemin Jafar. There is the replay of the accident. God. Even in replay, it just looks horrific, doesn't it, Tom?
Yeah, it doesn't get any prettier, does it? And look at all the carbon fibre debris heading back into the path of the likes of Norman Nato. Maybe it's a puncture that Nato's picked up from that debris. We'll have to wait and see. But Will Stevens back down to the Parabolica after that interview. Igor Salacarda didn't quite work out that interview, did it? But Will Stevens, his teammate Matthias Lane, with a nice move there on car 15, Marlon Stockinger.
Yeah, very nice move indeed there from Lane, and we should be keeping an eye on Matthias Lane this year. Last year was a building year, but if you want to know how good Matthias Lane is, well, who was his karting rival, Tom, back in the day?
Matthias Lane?
He was a regular driver with... I think it was the Danish charger Kevin Magnussen. They met on quite a few occasions.
Yeah, they tend to stick together. The
Fantin, oh goodness me, that's one of the latest attempts at an overtaking move in history. Oliver Webb definitely able to defend. Fantin, I think he's just clutching at straws here at the moment, trying to make moves that just don't exist.
Yeah, braking very, very late and struggling with the balance of the car. That's what will happen. Downshift, lock the rears. And Pietro Fantin's certainly trying to find time that doesn't exist. Going back to Will Stevens, he's never won a World Series by Renault race. So if I don't curse him, I don't mean to. I certainly want to see him win here this afternoon.
Will Stevens leads the way then here at Monza. Second is the 22, Roberto Merri, still pushing him all the way in the Zeta course. Really starting to get into a rhythm now, the drivers. They're spreading out a little bit as well, but Pierre Gasly, the rookie, is there in 3rd position. Looking good for a strong podium finish here. If he can pull this one off, Tom, well, several rookies have done all right in the past. Yeah, Pierre Gasly, a Red Bull Junior current Euro Cup champion, won the Euro Cup championship in dominant style, and has moved up to the World Series by Renault 3.5 championship. As we've seen over the years, the rookies have done very, very well. Frins, Van Dorn, can Gasly follow in the steps of those individuals? He hasn't gone to Fortec, which is where we saw the other Euro Cup champions go to. Red Bull have kept him at Arden Caterham, the team that ran Antonio Felix da Costa last year. They weren't the quickest over a lap, historically, Arden Caterham, but Gasly
has managed to extract some pace out of that car. I mean, Bullock, very, very quick. He was second on the grid, as we saw. Gasly down in 8th, but he's kept out of trouble, and he's really, really made the beginning of the race his own. And I have to say, it'll be interesting to see how physically well prepared he is, because these cars are very, very physical compared to the 2-litre. Has he done his gym work over the winter? I'm sure he has, being in the Red Bull Junior stable, but I think Pierre Gasly looking very, very good for a podium at this stage in the race. Who's gone wide at the first Lesmo?
It doesn't look like anybody's actually gone off the circuit. It looks like they've just got a wheel out and kicked up some gravel there. Interesting to see the progress of Matthias Lane. We're watching him now. I was alluding to the fact that he was good karting rivals with Kevin Magnussen back in the day, another man who rates him very highly. He was always on track with him in the junior days. Valtteri Bottas, very, very strong. He rates Matthias particularly highly and says if I was keeping an eye out for anybody on track, it was Matthias. So that's definitely one we should be looking out for, and he is making good progress at the moment. He's up into 9th place behind Stockinger and closing up again. He's actually having to defend at the moment, though. Will Stevens, his teammate, out in front. The Caterham back driver, the highest running Caterham F1 Academy driver, I think. Alexander Rossi, of course, is in their fold as well, but he's in GP2, well established as a test driver. Stockinger again having a look on the way past Oliver Rowland. What an amazing start Oliver Rowland has made in this race. He started back in 16th. For whatever reason, they didn't quite get the cars up to speed in qualifying, but now he's flying. He got a really great start, and he's managed to take advantage of the safety car to put himself in a very solid 7th place. Great work.
Yeah, I spoke to Ollie Rowland, another rookie up from the Euro Cup class in 2013. In 2014, I should say. In 2013, he was a Euro Cup driver. He was very, very happy with his preparation over the winter. Very, very quick. I was very surprised to see Fortec down in the positions that they were in. Ollie Rowland managed to out-qualify his teammate, Sergei Sirotkin, who was down in 18th. And they weren't really sure what went wrong in qualifying, where the balance and the pace went. Like I said, they've been very, very quick over the winter test. But Ollie Rowland, following in the footsteps of Pierre Gasly, a really polished approach to the beginning half of this race, and looking very, very good in that Racing Steps Foundation car through the Ascari chicane down to the Curva Parabolica. The DRS will be open now as he starts to try and break away from the trainer cars behind him. Stockinger Lane, his teammate Sirotkin, looking very racy there. He is.
Yeah, and the guy behind them is going to be looking for a way through as well. Zol Amberg, he had a top of the times run in the free practice session, so he obviously thinks he's got some speed this weekend. This is an opportunity. This is Will Buller trying to move back up the order on a move on Roman Mavlanov, and I think he's going to get it perfectly done. Yes, well done, William Buller. He came in as a bit of a revelation, just as Rowland defends again from Stockinger. That very nearly ended in tears. Oh, and it has ended in tears for Lane. Oh, Lane, he obviously got the exit wrong, and that's cost him quite a bit of time. Fortunately, he's not out of it, but he's lost so much time and momentum, and here around the outside trying to make a move is Meindert van Buren. He doesn't quite make it, but to come back at what we were talking about with Will Buller, he came in last year as a bit of a sensation, to be honest. He was a new driver halfway through the season, and he showed pretty much right from the off that he had consistency and pace and a rightful place in the championship.
Yeah, he had a great campaign. I called him a rookie last year, earlier on. He's not a rookie as such, but he only did a big campaign in 2013. But yeah, if you look at his results, he's got 3 fifths to his name, and to come in and do that in a very, very competitive field, and you've only got to remember what the names were that were ahead of him: Magnussen, Van Dorn, Da Costa. So to finish fifth, almost best of the rest, and William Buller picking up in Monza this morning where he left off in 2013, and a very, very impressive performance. And actually, it was a shame that he didn't get off the line that well, because once you start to go backwards here at Monza, you get a bad start. It's a long run down to the Rettifidio. A small mistake can almost be catastrophic in terms of where you end up. Talk
about sliding backwards down the field. In 16th place is Luca Giotto, who started 3rd on the grid, which became 2nd when Sainz Jr. faltered. This is another opportunity for Stockinger, but Rowland, He's not driving like a rookie at all as he's defending valiantly. He holds that inside line, a little bit of a nudge from Sorokin, but Stockinger, it looks like he's got a better exit out of the Rettifilio. Can Roland defend? He can't just chop across him. He's got to defend valiantly. He's got to keep the right line here, but Stockinger is on him.
Yeah, Roland just doing textbook defensive driving here, asking Stockinger to go around the outside, and that is no mean feat because Ollie Roland is last of the late breakers. And Stockinger getting rather frustrated behind Ollie Roland now, and that's going to drop him into the clutches of Sergei Sorokin. So you're almost the meat in a Vortex sandwich here, and that's what Ollie Roland will want. Stockinger's going to have to be careful where he positions the car now in these braking zones, because Sorokin is right up behind the pair of them. And there you go, that's Ollie Roland just pinching the front right as he asks the car, or the friction, the contact patch, to do too much under braking into the first corner of the Rettifilio. Watch here now as he gets to the turning point, just locks up that right front, but Stockinger's on the outside and can't do anything to really capitalise and get past the young Brit. Ollie Roland lives to fight another day.
Yeah, he was very lucky to get away with that, but he was able to switch directions to cut off Marlon Stockinger on the exit. So Stockinger had to ease up off the throttle and then get back on it quickly to out-drag him off the corner. So that was a very nice bit of defensive driving from Oliver Roland, but still Marlon Stockinger has a good attack here, but he's fallen back a little into the clutches of Sorokin, as you say, Tom, and Sorokin could have a move here. He's going to go for it. No, he's not. He has to back down, but he might get better drag out of the Rettifilio. But Stockinger, well, he's sizing up Oliver Roland. We've got ourselves a great battle in the midfield here.
And as I said, what a difference a lap makes. A lap ago it was Stockinger putting Roland under pressure, then Stockinger dropping back into the clutches of Sorokin, and had to go defensive and let Roland have some breathing space. And this three-car train is about to get a lot larger as well.
Absolutely, we've got two cars joining the party. It actually looks like Zol Lamberg is getting very close to the back of Sergei Sorokin now in 10th position, so he's closing up, and it looks like we've got another man in pursuit in the 11th place car as well. So we've got 5 cars nose to tail here. Will Stevens out in front, and he's looking, has to be said, Tom, absolutely flawless right now. Pierre Gasly still coming under some pressure from Nikolai Martsenko. Will Buller is there in 5th position. 6th is the 21. There he is, Roman Mavlanov, the rookie Russian. Then comes this battle. Roland, Stockinger, Sorokin, Amberg and Lane, who has got the momentum back up again, and he defended valiantly from Meindert van Buren, who's in 12th position. And these 5 cars are now in a row. Roland, Stockinger, Sorokin, Amberg and Lane. And this is going to get very interesting on the run down to the Rettifilio.
So all these cars on a low aerodynamic configuration, and the DRS you can see closed on the car of Ollie Roland. That means that he is using the 350 seconds or part of it to try and defend from Stockinger. Now the DRS back open, so the rear wing is no longer stalled, giving him maximum amount of grip and downforce for when he hits the brakes down into the first corner. As we see, who's that in the pits?
That's Giotto. That is Luca Giotto, who started at the front, and his race is coming to an end by the look of it. There are no pit stops this weekend here at Monza, so if you're in the pits this time, it is pretty much game over. So I think Giotto is about to retire, certainly have some work done. And just like Carlos Sainz Jr., a front runner, falls by the wayside in this first round of the championship. What drama, and what a way to open the 10th season for the World Series by Renault. Drama all the way, Tom.
Well, he just struggled, didn't he, getting away, and that's not too unusual for a rookie. These clutches, as I said, pneumatically powered and very, very difficult to utilise and get a good start.
So for those of you who don't know much about Formula Renault 3.5, well, there have been some incredible drivers to come through the ranks of this championship in the past 10 years, as Giotto returns to the track, or at least attempts to. Some of the star names to have come through: Robert Kubica, champion in 2005, Pastor Maldonado, a race winner, Guido van der Garde and Robin Freins, both champions. 4 IndyCar racers and very star drivers have come through this. Alex Lloyd, Simon Pagenaud, Will Power and Michael Aleshin, who of course was the 2010 champion. Looking at the current Formula One grid, there are many, many drivers who have come through, either as 3rd reserve drivers currently or past or present. And Formula 1 drivers as well, the likes of Alguersuari, Karun Chandok, Daniel Ricciardo, who is now a Red Bull driver, Jean-Eric Verne, who's now a Toro Rosso driver, Jules Bianchi at Marussia, the reigning champion, of course, Kevin Magnussen, and Tom, some bloke called Sebastian Vettel. That's not bad going, really, is it?
Yeah, the World Series by Renault Hall of Fame, so elegantly put by Mr. Jake Sanson, and absolutely right, ending with the most famous of them all, Sebastian Vettel. This championship and Renault all the way through, right the way from 2 litre all the way up to World Series by Renault, providing an absolutely brilliant ladder for these young drivers to learn their trade. It's so important. Drivers need to learn, they need to develop, they need to be given the space in order to do that, and Renault do just that. We're looking at the Arden crew, looking on now, and it's just moved away from them, hasn't it, ever so slightly, but they've still got Pierre Gasly, the young Red Bull rookie, in third place, his first Formula Renault 3.5 race, and he's starting to come under real pressure now from Marchenko. He's definitely dropping back from second place, Roberto Meri, and it's Marchenko, the Comtech racing driver, putting him under big pressure down into the Rettifilo.
And he's got him already. He's got him already. Now it's all about the braking. Can Marchenko get this lined up nicely through the braking zone? Yes, he's got him. Now, because Marchenko has already had a season's experience in 3.5, it's up to him now to prove that he definitely can make this a good campaign. You don't want to spend too long in a junior formula like this, do you, Tom? You want to come in, show what you've got, and move on. Otherwise, there's a chance you could stagnate.
But on the flip side, like I've just said, drivers come from all kinds of different backgrounds. They've had different learning curves. He may be doing his learning in World Series by Renault, and that is Giotto getting in the way, or out of the way of this battle. Roland locking up.
Oh, it's made things very intense. Lane has got Van Buren on his back. Amberg has got Lane and Van Buren on his back. And the 21, Roman Mavlanov, is trying to hold them all off. Mavlanov has dropped back somewhere. Mavlanov was in about 4th or 5th position at one point, so he's made a mistake and dropped into the middle of this sideways battle. And it's actually made things a bit... Is that Lane now going slowly again?
No, Lane's going quickly.
Someone else has gone off.
Someone
else has gone wide. Mavlanov's in trouble by the look of it. He's got Amberg sizing him up. Down to the Variante Ascari. He's having to defend big style here. Amberg needs to get past him, otherwise the 3 or 4 cars in front of him are going to be gone for good. He needs to be able to stay in touch. There's only 10.5 minutes left of this race, and it's all about momentum. It's all about slipstream.
Yeah, it is, especially around Monza, the 2 long straights that lead from the Ascari down to the Parabolica, and the Parabolica up to the Rettifilo, and that's Amberg looking racy. Mavlanov, it'll be interesting to see if he's tired or not, or if the car's just gone off, because he's certainly starting to go in the wrong direction as the clock ticks down here at Monza. 10 minutes of this race left on the clock, shortened from the 44 plus 1 lap that we had in last year's championship to the 40 minutes plus 1 lap.
Stockinger trying again. Oh, and that's gone very, very wrong. That's Amberg trying to make the move, and that's... Goodness me, that's Mavlanov going off as well. So, well, how are the stewards going to call that? And it looks to me as though, was that Stockinger and Roland side by side, or was that Sorokin trying to make his move? Yes, Sorokin making his move on Stockinger, and Stockinger's going to hold the left side of the circuit. Sorokin's going to try and go right round the outside. Oh, there's a little bit of contact, but he held his nerve. Thank you and good night.
Great racing from the pair. Stockinger has given him just enough room, and Sorokin held his nerve, and it was almost do or die, wasn't it, on the second element of that apex down at the Della Roggia. And really, all credit to them. That could have ended in tears, and they've managed to get through. Good racing from Stockinger and Sorokin. No doubt Marlon Stockinger will feel hard done by there. It's a robust move from the Russian, just back from Bahrain. He's completed his running in the Sauber, got his super license that he was craving. But look, down into the Della Roggia, bumpy braking zone. Stockinger giving him the room, as Sorokin did on the inside, and then Sorokin holding his nerve, and on that second apex, just managing to squeeze through. I tell you what, that's about as brave as you get down at the Della Roggia.
Well, DRS and downforce is obviously 2 big key factors here at Monza, and you're seeing it in perfect motion here. But
Gasly's back in P3, by the way, somewhere we've missed.
So, not quite sure what happened there. But interesting to talk about this one, because it is so important at Monza, isn't it? Oh, and that's a big mistake. There goes Mavlenov, bouncing over the chicane at the Rettifilio, and this time he is going to have to let the rest of the field get by him.
Yeah, but what we were looking at before was Martsenko and Buller. So Martsenko has lost third place and 4 or 5 seconds somewhere along the line. We're seeing a replay back of car 21. Yep, that's just Mavlenov.
Far too fast into the corners. That's all it was. He just missed his braking point completely, and he's got to allow the field to go through.
So what happened to Martsenko then? That's what I want to know. Seeing quite a few replays, but not the one we want to see.
No, indeed. He seems to have fallen off the radar a little bit, does Martsenko. He certainly had a look at Gasly, but...
Well, no, he passed him. He was in third place, wasn't he? And then now he's lost that position, and he's 4 seconds behind him. So in a lap, he must have made a mistake somewhere, or Gasly's had another go at him. But either way, we've missed it.
Well, hang on, that's a big puff of smoke. Is that just tyre smoke? Oh, no, that's Sorokin going off. Oh dear, Sergei Sorokin, he's obviously overcooked it into the Variante Ascari. And here, this is the battle. This is Buller now on the back of Martsenko. So Martsenko must have gone off somewhere because Buller is now in his tow. This is an absolutely brilliant opening race. Everything is kicking off here.
So what, Martsenko giving it the wall of death around the outside of the Parabolica. One mistake and you're in the gravel. But either way, he has to get the throttle down and get away from Buller. This is Amberg and Mavlenov.
Oh, he's having to go across the white line to get any chance of getting by him. Now, what are the stewards going to say about that one, Tom? Is that even going to be an issue?
That's fine for me, but I wasn't in the driver's briefing, so I don't know what's been mandated to the drivers prior to the race. They have a briefing at the beginning of the weekend, and it all depends what the clerk of the course has said in that Pierre Delettre, I think it is, the clerk of the course for this World Series by Renault campaign in 2014.
Oh, Lane having a look now on the back of Mender van Buren, and the Dutchman is not going to allow him through. Still trying to hold his line and defending valiantly. There's a lot of weaving going on, Tom. What are the rules and limitations on weaving? Oh, as we see Sorokin just overcooking it and bouncing over the chicane at the Variante Ascari. Is there a particular rule at this level about weaving?
You're going to see certain elements of weaving, be it defensive driving or trying to break the toe. That's what we saw, and that's what led to the accident earlier on. Sorensen trying to pick up that snake heading down the straight down to the Rettifilio. Martsenko was almost thinking about weaving there to try and break the toe and put Buller off behind him.
So down the straight once more, as Martsenko is really starting to struggle to fend off Buller. And we've got a great midfield scrap with Matthias Lane on the back of Marlon Stockage. No, that's Vassivier, and he gets very wide. Vassivier, that's exactly what you were talking about before, Tom. That is the Valley of Death he just skidded across.
Yeah, now we are seeing the difference between cars that have DRS and don't have DRS.
3 wide down the straight. That was very close indeed, and there could have been another accident there, and that still could happen. Everybody's trying desperately to gain something from this, and oh, the one who's come off worst.
No gears,
dear, that's Mavlenov. No gears at all, and he's lost the toe.
Didn't have DRS or any DRS left with 4 minutes left on the clock down to the Rettifilio. You saw the difference with Stockage and Marlos Lane, who did have DRS, and they just breezed past him, didn't they? Then he got stuck on the apex. And with these pneumatically powered clutches and gearbox, had a box full of neutrals, didn't he? Couldn't quite get away. But who was it that happened to earlier? Matthias Lane, actually, that happened to Lane earlier, didn't it, at the first corner? So that's the man that we're looking at now, car number 12. His teammate is doing an absolutely outstanding job out front. 5.7 seconds, the lead now between Will Stevens and Roberto Meri. And we haven't seen anything of Stevens, and that's always a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah, no trouble at all. He's got the pressure of no pressure at all out front. All he's got to do is just keep on banging in those laps. Great fight back, though, from Vassivier, considering that, like Sainz Jr., he didn't make the original grid. He had to start from the pit lane. So to see him fighting with Matthias Lane up in 12th position, that is some brilliant driving from another rookie, Vassivier, who's going to be dovetailing his commitments in 3.5 with a World Endurance Championship attack at the same time. So he's going to be getting the best of both worlds in motor racing on an international level. Interesting as well to see, Tom, how these new tyres have been working. It's creating some fantastic racing.
Yeah, the tyre's not too much different. It's about a second quicker as we see Lane looking and Vassivière doing the right thing. Lane out-braking himself in the end.
No,
and
he's going to have to give it back.
That's why Vassivière didn't challenge him. Actually, full credit to the rookie, knew what his capabilities were and the car's capabilities and didn't go with Lane. Lane out-braking himself, and Vassivière now going to cruise all the way around the outside. Lane has to rescind that place.
Smoke, is that tyre smoke again, or has something gone there? I think that's probably just no, that's somebody pulling off. That's Visser.
No, Visser.
That's Biedrzyka Visser. What a shame for her. First female in 3.5 for 6 years since Pippa Mann went off to America, and Biedrzyka, of course, was part of the Red Bull Academy last year. Let's take a replay. Was this her just losing it? Oh, yes. Just too fast into the exit of the Variante Ascari, and she's beached.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I don't quite know how she's managed to do that, whether or not that was race pace or she's actually just pulling off through the gravel. It almost looked as though she did drive off. It's a tough element of the track. Really got to hang on to the car through there. These cars producing a huge amount of downforce, maybe more downforce than the 2014 Formula 1 cars, believe it or not. Anything up to 4.5 Gs under braking with maximum downforce. The cars under low downforce configurations for the race here at Monza due to the need for straight line speed, and that is why you see the element on the wing there right the way down on the two end plates. This is Roberto Meri, and back to Matthias Lane and Stockinger.
Oh, they're going to be side by side through the apex. Stockinger has to give best.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Vassivière. Vassivière had to give best that time, and it looks like he might have got a little bit of damage there on the front wing as a result. It's certainly flapping a bit more than it should be. So I think he might have caught him. And I suppose from Matthias Lane's point of view, he's got to be praying that it didn't hit the rim of the tyre because it can just fly off.
The sidewall, yeah, it just cuts the sidewall of the tyre, and then all of a sudden the carcass will just delaminate very, very quickly. But this is the leader.
And as a patriot, I have to say, this is a wonderful sight, isn't it? Fourth in the table last year, Will Stevens. I can tell you, he was an absolute god in the world of karting. Everybody was talking about him in the World Championship, saying this boy could be our next Formula 1 world champion. And I tell you what, he's certainly starting to deliver on that promise. His drive today, it's one of those things, isn't it? When all about you are losing their cool, this man has delivered.
Well, at times last year, he was the only man to really take it to Kevin Magnussen. He's the highest returning rookie in the championship, finished 4th last year, and has to be, along with Carlos Sainz Jr., certainly one of the favourites for this championship. Pierre Gasly just getting it wrong into the first corner. He's not under too much pressure because Marcinko's...
Oh, and Vassivier's gone! He's gone! Oh dear, and into the wall, he's out of it. Oh dear, just as you were saying, that's exactly what can happen if you get too wrong, too wide and too much speed. Vassivière learns the hard way, unfortunately.
Well, he did it a few laps before, didn't he? And again, I'm not saying this could be the reason, but you have to really hang on to the car through the Parabolica under maximum load. He is a rookie. These cars are very, very physical. He's just trying to hold on to it, and it's really just... too much of the wall of death for Vassivière there. Certainly cannot afford to use all of that track and clatters the tyre wall. I hope he managed to get his hands off the wheel there, because that's a real thumb breaker if that's the case. Will Stevens down to the Parabolica. The clock will time out this time across the line, which means we'll start the last lap. It's 40 minutes plus 1 lap. We were talking about Will. He was one of the quickest guys at times last year. Very, very consistent. This car is very, very good in race trim. I was speaking to him before this weekend, and he was saying with the new tyres that you mentioned a second ago, the balance had just gone away for them ever so slightly. He wasn't as confident as he could have been going into this weekend, but boy, oh boy, will this bring his confidence right back up to where it should be, because this is an absolutely dominant performance from the Brit, and I'm really, really pleased to see him doing so well.
Well, yellow flags on the Parabolica, but there's 1 lap to go, and William Buller, who is trying to save the best of a bad job, he got masses of wheel spin off the line, and that dropped him all the way back into around sort of 8th or 9th position on the first couple of laps. Then we had that massive accident between Stockinger and Jafar, as good to see Vassivière walks away. But Buller has one lap. He could still make 4th position here. He's sizing up Martsenko, who's had a great run to 3rd position. Then, for whatever reason, he fell back into 4th place. We didn't see it, but Buller is just a second off him, and if he gets it right on this lap, he could still grab him for 4th place. But I have to say, I am super impressed with Will today. It was always going to be very difficult, and he's made it look easy, but I know that it's going to be very tough for him to have done what he's done today. Sainz Jr. went into this particular race very much the favourite. Bad luck befell Dams, and they will fight back in tomorrow's race. Don't you worry, you'll see more of the Carlos Sainz Jr. we know. But what a way to start the season with a brand new winner, and it's a brilliant drive and a brilliant bit of engineering from everybody at Stracker Racing. They've done an amazing job, and Will Stevens opens his account in 2014 with a win in absolutely dominant style. Absolutely fantastic. Second across the line, Roberto Merri, one of the latest signings for this year. So what a way to start his campaign with 2nd place. And the rookie, Pierre Gasly, finishes the podium, and Buller has got Martsenko on the last lap. He nailed him. Absolutely brilliant drive from William Buller. He did get him on the last lap, just as we thought he'd have a chance to. Martsenko falls to 5th. Oliver Rowland comes through in 6th place. Another rookie doing a great job ahead of Stockinger and Sorokin. Absolutely brilliant opening race. Amberg and Van Buren finish up the top 10. I'll tell you what, Tom, if that's what this season's going to be like, bring it on. That was epic.
Well, certainly one person will be saying bring it on is Will Stevens, his first ever win in World Series by Renault, and what a dominant way to do it. 7.2 seconds, the margin between himself and Roberto Merri, and that really is a class job from Will Stevens. I'm absolutely over the moon for him, because he's somebody that has really come of age since he's graduated into World Series by Renault. His first year was at Carlin, then he moved teams, and really certainly building on all of his experience from Euro Cup. It was a tough learning as he came from karting to cars, but now he's starting to come of age. Will Stevens will see a lot more of this man in 2014.
What an opening race here in the Formula Renault 3.5 series. Action, drama, nail-biting, wheel-to-wheel stuff all the way throughout. That is what the League Below Formula One should be about, Tom. And that was an absolute barnstormer of a race. Will Stevens the winner, and in pit lane it echoed to the phrase, good boy, and he certainly was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy. It's my first win in World Series, which has been a long time coming, but yeah, the car was mega. We knew we worked hard on our starts over the winter, and we were really confident at that at the moment. So we managed to get a good start. We knew the race pace would be strong, and yeah, we controlled the race really well.
You just kept digging the gap. What was the secret?
Yeah, I mean, we've got confidence in everything we've got. This is where we're strongest in the race, and we know if we can get out in front, then we'll be able to do that sort of performance. It's been a long time coming, but we finally showed what we can do.
Thanks, Will.
Cheers, man.
What a drive. Absolutely brilliant job today, and that was an absolute 3.5 series masterclass.
Yeah, huge. It almost looked relief on Will's face, wasn't it, rather than jubilation, but here's the classification. Yep,
Stevens takes the win then from Merri, with Gasly finishing up the podium in his first race in 3.5. Buller, Martsenko and Rowland, another rookie, round out the top 6 from Stockinger and Sorokin. Notable by his absence, Carlos Sainz Jr., the man who started from pole, or should have started from pole, I should say. Not quite making it anywhere beyond 18th place in the end. He brought it back. Couldn't even quite overtake Vassivier, who retired with a couple of laps, to go.
He had the fastest lap, though, Carlos Sainz Jr. This is a replay of what went on. And there you go, hands in the air. Didn't make the formation lap, didn't make the start.
And then Buller and Giotto got bogged down with masses of wheel spin, and that just left the road completely open for Will Stevens. Martsenko got a good getaway, so too did Gasly. Look, he almost made it to 2nd place, but he just missed his braking point, and he, along with 4 other drivers, had to take the escape route. Drama for Sainz, but this is why we got under safety car. Jafar and Sorensen, bang!
Sorensen just coming across on Jafar there. Nothing that Jazz could have done. He's not a dirty driver. He would have been shocked to see Sorensen flying across the front of him into the pit wall. One of the biggest accidents I've seen in World Series by Renault, but we think the Dane is okay.
Then off we went again on the restart. A lot of locking up there from Giotto as he tried to make his way through the field. Fantin got a good move or two, but then he managed to overcook it. Fantin had to play catch-up in this one. William Buller, he may have got wheel spin on the start, but I tell you what, his comeback drive was brilliant. Roland, a brilliant opening race in the campaign for him as well. The man who's got to come back off the Euro Cup Championship title last year and deliver on a promise, and he certainly took it to his teammate Sergei Sorokin and several others today.
Yeah, the Brits really starring in World Series by Renault. And certainly one of the other stars is the young Pierre Gasly, the young Red Bull driver. One of the moves of the race from Sergei Sorokin down into the De La Roggia.
Amberg did a good job overall in the race, but he just got things a little bit too overeager, as too did Roman Mavlanov, who certainly starred in the opening stages, but it all seemed to fade away. Then Sorokin overcooked it, but we certainly know what he's capable of. He could be one to watch over the course of the year and could certainly build a championship attack.
But he's capable of that as well, and that is what he's going to have to eradicate, Sergei Sorokin. He cannot afford to make mistakes, because this field is too good and they'll just capitalize on his mistakes.
Visser was a late retirement, unfortunately, but this was the most spectacular retirement in the late stages. Vassivière, and again, bang! He just got it wrong out of the Parabolica, and you end up in the Valley of Death and into the kitty litter, as he did. But what a masterclass drive from Will Stevens. Absolutely perfect. Straight off the restart. Nobody ever saw him.
No, they didn't. We barely saw him, didn't they? And that's always a great sign. The leader making it look easy.
So a brilliant way to end the first race of the Formula Renault 3.5 Series Championship. We'll do it all again tomorrow, of course. And that's going to be an interesting one, because Sainz Jr. hopefully should be back to his best, and the Dams crew will leave their bad luck behind. I tell you what, we are in for an epic contest in the Formula Renault 3.5 Series in 2014. Last year it was a three-way fight between drivers who are now in Formula 1, GP2 and DTM respectively. We're going to have a few more stars to talk about by the end of this year. Pierre Gasly, the Frenchman, the rookie for Red Bull Junior, if you like, finishing third place. The late signing, Roberto Merhi, we thought he was going to do another DTM campaign, but no, he's changed tack and he got second in his debut in 3.5 Series. So two rookies on the podium.
I think he's doing DTM as well. I think he's going to dovetail it.
Fair enough. So a double campaign for Merhi, but here's the winner at last. His first win in the Formula Renault 3.5 Series. He was fourth in the championship last year, but what a deserving winner, Will Stevens. I think it's fair to say the future of British motorsport on the international stage is in safe hands with Will Stevens.
Yeah, that's the victory, the result that he would have been dreaming for all over this winter, and it has come in fine style. He's worked for it, he's been determined, and full credit to Will Stevens. Pierre Gasly's really impressed me, just 18 years of age, and really the maturity, he's come of age, and well, how often have we said this, a Red Bull Junior on the podium in their maiden campaign, and he's definitely one of the stars of the future. Roberto Merhi, we know how good he is, F3 Euro Series champion in 2011, DTM factory Mercedes driver, dovetailing that with World Series by Renault this year. But Will Stevens, could it be his year? And I'm excited for him.
It's certainly going to be an interesting campaign. Once Carlos Sainz Jr. and the Dams boys have recollected and got themselves together for tomorrow, we could be in for a humdinger of a championship. Join us again tomorrow for more from the World Series by Renault. So for the record, we're going to be racing midday roughly tomorrow. And it's definitely going to be interesting. Are we going to see the same 3 drivers on the podium tomorrow? Or is there a spanner to throw in the works? Thrown in by Dams. Join us tomorrow and we'll find out. Have we got a brilliant championship on our hands? I'll tell you what, we certainly do.